Thank you. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the panel today. I don't know if you saw that the title, the topic of today is who owns identity in the age of AI coding. So when Eric, one of the organizers, asked me to moderate this panel, I was a little nervous. So a bit about myself. I used to write for TechCrunch. Not very technical. I'm not a dev, so I'm like, why am I gonna even ask? But the more I dig into it, the more I realize that it's all about humans, like human control and trust. So the question is, the debate is basically trust and control between human and human, human to machine, and then machine back to humans. And so I think we are very well equipped to answer the questions today with the panelists here. We have Ben from Freestyle Cloud and Mira from Auth0 and then Bo from Isoform. Yeah, so do you guys want to do a round of introduction of what your company does? And also just to make sure that our audience understand what identity means. Like identity means to me authentication and authorization. So if you could share your understanding of what those two words mean, because we're gonna talk a lot about those two terms. Starting from Ben.
All right. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm the CEO of a company called Freestyle Cloud. We build sandboxes and the other infrastructure that AI coding agents need. If you imagine that Anthropic, the models, are the brain of the AI, we provide them the stuff that they need to get working. That's stuff like Git for the AI, deploy for the AI, and VMs for the AI. In that context, we think about auth as the AI has to work with all these things. In my head, the simplest way of thinking about this and what we struggle with a lot is authentication is how does this AI prove who it is, specifically who this AI is and what identity it's matched with. And authorization would then be generally what are we allowing it to do? Can it run commands or can it just read the files?
Hi, that's a great answer. Is this on?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
A little closer.
Awesome. My name is Mira. I work at Auth0. Auth0 is an identity company. We do all things identity. We want to take it off of your hands so you can go and build your cool things and we'll deal with all of the problems. Yeah, I think you answered the question really well. I'll say I mix up the terms all the time because they sound so similar. We have so many products dealing with both. But yeah, exactly what you said.
Hey y'all, my name's Bo. Hey, this is on.
Closer.
Hey y'all, my name is Bo. I'm founder for Isoform. What we try to do is bespoke software at scale. How we're going to do it is help you turn ICs into tech lead, from doing low leverage work of writing to code to higher leverage work of planning, validating, and educating based on your company's tribal knowledge, right? You really want to gather that tribal knowledge that's unique to you. You know, what exactly we do or how we start wedging the market is we build bespoke integration and migration for middle market company backed by PE firm that not located in Silicon Valley or New York. We've been in stealth mode for a year and a half. We built the first coding agent that was 70%, I guess, success rate or the 70% complete the success rate on Sweetbench early this year, before any of the leading models. And now we just GA our platform called Yansu, which we will offer an unlimited token with a leading model at $20 a month. So that's what we do. Thank you. Oh, the question is, what I think about authentication and authorization. Authentication is know who you are, who your customer are, different side of them, and authorization is really give permission to do what on your behalf. That's how I think about both.
Thank you. And before I move on to the panelists, I'd like to get a show of hands from the audience. Who do you think should own identity? Is it the AI coding platform or AI agents, or should it be the auth providers like Auth0? So AI coding agents or Auth0 like providers? Okay, so that the answer is pretty clear. So I don't know how this debate's going to pan out today. So yeah, what's your, then I'll start with the AI builders here, the AI coding platform. So what's your opinion then?
So, oh, I think I may have turned it off now.
Yeah, it should be green if it's on.
Yeah, it's flashing. Sorry about How many of you guys have used Cloud Code? Any takers on the Cloud Code SDK? So I'm glad that no hands went up because I am a Cloud Code SDK hater. I think it is poorly designed, and I think there's a reason that none of you are using it. Something that we very distinctly believe is that AI should not manage its own permissions. For you to know what an AI is doing, it needs to be tracked through some other proxy. This can be a proxy like Auth0 for managing OAuth connections, or a proxy like Pipedream for managing these third-party integrations. As an AI coding agent platform, the way we do this is when dealing with, for example, AI running in a sandbox, there are two ways you can do it. You can either install Cloud Code in the sandbox and then run Cloud Code in there, just kind of letting it go the same way you would use the computer. The alternative is you run the AI outside of the sandbox and you have a proxy that runs its commands inside based off your permission. We strongly believe in the latter approach because it allows you to do things like granular permissioning and better debugging. So when thinking about that question, it's actually less about the minimum, like, it's less about the security question, because the fact of the matter is when you let an AI rip on a VM, it's very, very hard to minimally permission it. It's very easy for an exec command to escape or something like that. However, I think for debugging and tracking, it's really important that you are using something like an Auth0 or some form of proxy so that you're able to figure out what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, does that make sense to you, Bo?
Yeah, I think it really is a trade-off. It's depend on your context, depend on the trade-off. If you're in your personal settings, you can probably give AI a lot of freedom, right? Because you don't have that much stuff to lose. But when
Credit card. There it
oh,
is.
the credit card stuff, right? But when you want to give location stuff, that's authorization itself right there, right? You willy-nilly just gave all sort of app, all of the authorization, authentication. You sign with Google, you might not think you have that much to lose. You want to trade off the speed and convenience for that kind of stuff. And same for your company. At what stage, when you only have like 10 people, 4 engineers, everyone working overtime, you don't have time to think about this. And if this is not your core competency, give to her. Give to the Auth0 people, right? Give to the professionals. They will manage that for you. But no, the trade-off is you trade off speed for giving another party a skeleton key, so to speak. Now they control your user management system. When you go to big, your bill gonna go up. Just say that you have to really negotiate your bills, right? So, and when you want to do much more granular control, like Ben said, platform might not able to do that. You still have to bring half of stuff back in your system, which means you have half out there, half dingling back here. There's multiple point of failures. So it's depend on trade-off. Your giant company is then a completely different set of stories. So that's how I think about it. Is understand what's your current needs and go from that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's all about the consequences you're willing to put up with. For example, if you're training an agent to understand what's the difference between a screwdriver and a handgun, that's an important one that you can't mess up. But if it's just like, I don't know, what's something inconsequential? Like a restaurant you want to try. AI coding it doesn't matter. So it's all about the context. It's super important. And then when it is important, you do want to make sure that security is taken care of and that you're thinking about it from the start.
So, Mira, as humans offload more tasks to AI, can AI get so productive that it can take over what you guys are doing? Because the point of Auth0, the point of why Auth0 exists is that humans cannot single-handedly manage so many accounts and access to data. But what if AI becomes very powerful and efficient?
Yeah, so one of our biggest competitors today is already DIY solutions where people are already building their own security solutions. And the reason why they choose Auth0, at least we like them to, is because it becomes a nightmare to deal with on your own. And also security is like very weirdly specific. It's super niche. There's specs that you have to know and they're changing. And because that's all we do and that's how we make money, we want to do that. And then usually it becomes an infrastructure nightmare for them to manage. So when Cursor first came out, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen to our company? So I tried it out. I was like, can you make an OIDC integration with Azure? And oh my God, what it was bad. So I think it probably can get better, but I think it's about the amount of trust you're willing to put into AI generated vibe coded solutions, and what you want to put up with in terms of like management and maintenance, and it's always a trade-off. Could do it yourself, you could put it to AI, or you could use an auth provider.
So how do you think of the trade-off? Like, for instance, if I'm giving control to the agent to pay my monthly bill, like how do I think about like when the AI can just go? Like to what extent? Like, is it based on the amount of money, or is it based on the type of bills I'm paying? Like how do you think about the different parameters that go into access control?
If it's for me, sure, give it all, with some limit. But if it's for Auth0, then I'm going to be very careful about that. So again, I think it's all dependent on the context and the consequences you're willing to deal with.
Builders.
So in my company, we have this concept of a thankless problem. And this is what I tell people when they're considering between me and a build it myself. And I'm sure Auth0 says something similar. When you're dealing with building web deployments, if I am hosting your website for you, if I do this 100% correctly, if your website is up 100% of the time, which is not an easy thing to do, you need a lot of replication, you need a lot of data structures, you need a whole bunch of proxying to protect from things. If you do it 100% right, no one will say thank you. If you do this 95% correctly, your hair is on fire, you get sued, your customers hate you, and they leave. This is a problem, like this is what my company indexes on as the problems we solve. And I think this is something that Auth is a really perfect example of, in that you do Auth perfectly. You build a beautiful sign-in flow, you got that button there, they click it and they sign in. Oh, wow, that's not gonna get you a single customer or a single, oh my God, I loved your Auth flow. And you guys do have a pretty nice Auth flow. But if you pay them, it's just like, there's no real downside other than the small fees. So when thinking about Auth in that context, I think a lot about the things that like make a difference in two spaces. There are the things that are high upside, low downside, and the things that are high downside, low upside. And I think Auth is this perfect example of extremely high downside. If you do Auth wrong and you leak one of your customers' emails to another customer, you're in big trouble. If you do Auth yourself extra right and you don't leak emails, you got a working product. Now go do the rest. So when I think about those trade-offs, to me at least, you have to have speed, but Auth is actually one of those few things that you really can't compromise on. You can't have to Auth. You can't launch a like Auth product that doesn't fully work, because there are these really, really high downside pieces that come into the play, and the upside of doing it yourself is probably some amount of speed for a short time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think I just like Ben's answer, but similarly add on to that. If Auth is not your core competency, you should just give someone else to do it.
Yeah.
You should only take risks on your core competency, take risks on what makes you unique, not what Auth make you unique. You should take the most conservative approach on the stuff that's not really core to your system, and put all of your egg in the basket on the really risky part that make you who you are. So Auth typically is not, just like Ben said, nobody win on Auth. Let the established player take on the Auth.
People do lose on.
Yeah, people does lose because they put risk on that.
Yeah.
How do you verify differentiate agents from humans?
It's an interesting question. I'm part of some like OIDF AI group, and we made no progress for the first few meetings because everyone's like, what is an AI agent? How do we answer this question that you just posed? There's a lot of different ways. I think you can give them different like user IDs or identities. I don't know if you have an AI agent that's acting as a human, our system, it can detect bots to some degree, but maybe it won't catch that it's an AI agent. I think you have to build that in if that's what you want to differentiate on.
What are the worst scenarios when AI has too much control and too much access to data?
handgun example all over again. I think depending on the application, it's like putting a self-driving car on the road when it doesn't know traffic laws. It can be pretty disastrous. I know SaaS is probably not that dramatic, but there is a lot of data out there. I mean, the whole reason we existed for security is because of the consequences of leaking data, all of this, and then we're seeing all of these threats emerge again with AI agents.
Yeah, as builders, for the two of you, what lessons have you learned from implementing this friction of security? Like, do users probably ask for more speed and less friction? Then what do you tell users? How do you convince users that such security measures are necessary?
I will go. We treat agent like a human. How do human gain trust? When you have a new intern coming, when you have a new hire coming, you want to give them quick win within like a week or so, make a quick PR, help them establish themselves in the team, all of that stuff. You want them to gain trust of the team, and you want them to learn about your company tribal knowledge. The more they learn, the more they get promoted, level up, the more access control they have in the whole system, right? They don't just see the little Jira ticket, they may see the strategic map, roadmap, all of that kind of stuff. Same thing for AI, same thing for agents. You have to let it do the easy stuff first, the stuff that have low consequences. Then you continue to establish trust from that. And then you can give higher and higher permission things. It might now be a automated process, just like how we're promoting human is now be an automated process. That's where the human in the loop come in, double check the work, maybe now double check the work because they're working at lightning speed. So you want to act as a team lead, you want to spot check the work, and you want to make sure the agent understand the unique knowledges in your company. Every company is uniquely set up. So you really want to understand, do your agent understand what's unique about you and your company? And then the more they're able to do it, the more permission you give it, and which is authorization piece of things. Yeah.
I will say, I don't know if I mentioned in my intro, but I'm a product manager on our B2B side. And there, friction doesn't matter. We don't really care as much about friction because you have to use your workplace apps. And a lot of AI tools are taking place in these workplace B2B SaaS apps. So maybe the question isn't always about friction, depending on your market, which is an interesting side note.
So to go back a question, something that you said that, or at least the question you asked, AI agent versus human, that I was thinking about. There was this news report a couple months ago where Cloudflare accused Perplexity of lying in their headers. They said, you are crawling these websites and you're saying it's a human and it's not. And Perplexity shot back and said, well, a human asked for this task to be done, so it is a human, because it's just like going to it in the browser. And I think that was, to me at least, a really interesting sign of this hard to distinguishness of what is the AI and what is the human. When you're talking to a chatbot and then a chatbot does something for you, if I say list 5 restaurants and it searches for the restaurants, that's a very direct me action. And I think this separation that seems very black and white gets really gray really quickly. So just thinking about that in the context of building authentication, speed, and like how do you deal with this really gray line of what is a human and what is an agent? We take the approach in our APIs of secure first. It is relatively freakishly hard to build insecure software on the primitives we built. Everything is locked down by default, and when you want to unlock a permission, you have to manually unlock it. And I think that that is a trade-off we've made, and it's soured some amount of people on us, but I think for the people we want to work with, it shows through that they like that.
Yes, I saw Bo has something.
Yes, I was going to have a hot take, which is we shouldn't just distinguish between human AI, but also AI or LLM and machines. Machine and LLM is different. It's completely different. Like previous computers, pretty deterministic. You write a code, they just execute exactly what you told it to do. All of the bug in there is your logic bug. It's not computer's problem. It's just exactly when you say one, it won't do two. But now when you say AI, it's just another person, right? You say one, maybe it will just give out two, but you're operating at speed that's way faster than yours. So it's kind of hybrid between machine and human. So we really should distinguish that, not just between human AI, but also machine and AI. There's some random stuff when I thought about when Ben was talking.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't thought about the machine being deterministic. Yeah, so I think the debate is pretty clear. So I wonder what kind of advice, hands-on advice you have for a lot of the AI agents builders in the audience. Like what kind of guiding principles should they know when designing around authentication and authorization?
I have one. I go to a lot of these events in SF, like hackathons and stuff, and I present about security, and nobody listens. Nobody cares when they're building AI. I will say, even if it's not fun, it's not what you want to be doing, thinking about security from the beginning is what separates actual enterprise products from just a project, right? Because when you start selling to people or like saying, hey, look at this cool product, do you want to buy it? They're going to ask, well, how do you make sure like you're controlling your AI? So if you're building something and you want it to grow, thinking about security from the get-go and then making sure you're thinking about that when you are building your agents is a good step in terms of just growth.
Yeah, you guys need to share more worst scenario for people to know.
Yeah, I'll just list every bad thing that could ever happen.
This is an interesting one. I think I disagree with you.
Oh, really?
So I think when you're dealing with enterprises, you have to be secure. But one of the great things are when you're dealing, especially in established markets, you have to be secure. But one of the great things about today and the things that like really excites me is that I think for the first time, at least in my life, maybe there's some 70-year-olds in here, there's something really new. And there's this wild west of use cases out there where if you chase them, you can just be the only person out there. And I believe that for certain things that are just the newest out there, like I've never seen a demo like that long-term research agent. That was really cool. If you told me I can use this, but maybe some of the things I researched are going to be leaked, I need a long-term research agent, I'm still going with that. So I think for a certain amount of time, you staying on the cutting edge can hold you above authentication. But the moment you have, or above like really security or details, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got on building things was like a half-broken, barely working website that solves a problem is better than a beautiful website that works and doesn't solve a problem. And that includes in the beautiful website a nice login flow. With that said, going upstream in the market, I think security matters, and beyond security, security theater matters. I've gone through the compliance racket. Like, let's be real here. I'm hoping there's nobody at like a Delve or one of the other compliance companies in here. Being compliant did not make me any more secure than I was. But I think showing that you care about security is an important step to be able to get real large-scale business on you.
So follow-up question is, at which point does discovery stop? Does the Wild West stop?
Competitors. Like if you have no competitors, you get to do whatever you want at whatever price you want. The moment that you have competent competition, it starts to go down. Maybe if you're 100 times cheaper than them, they don't care about this. But over time, like competition pops up and you got to fight. And fighting includes on price and on product and on security.
Very convincing. I think you swayed me. I'm probably skewed because I work mostly in like emerging like people trying to sell to enterprises, and this is the problem we're trying to solve. But I do totally agree. In the discovery phase, you just got to go.
I think it's brands, yeah. I will take a middle ground here, which is really your contacts matter, and then you should focus on deliver value. When you have no competitors, it's a value stack ranking. You deliver the first one. Once people match the first one, you have to deliver the next one. You have to deliver the one after that if someone keep matching downward. So, no competitors area You do the first one, nobody cares the rest. In the enterprise, everyone deliver all of this. You have to match all of those and add more on there. So context matter and deliver value matters.
You go discovery first and security second in the first phase. Will it be too late to implement the auth later?
It might be harder. I mean,
Just pay.
yeah, you could just give it to us and we'll take care of it. I think like if you design something from the get-go and you implement that, it's going to be easier to just implement from the start instead of trying to retrofit something. And I think that's just always the case. But again, it totally depends on your goals.
Well-written code will be easy to maintain and easy to add features on. Poorly written code will always be hard to work on. I think it's a thin line. Like I'll say we didn't start doing our compliance stuff until someone asked for compliance, and the next day we got on it, and that was good enough for them.
Vibe coded.
Or always have Auth0 in their mind.